Battle of the Challenges podcast. I am Vincent Cloud. This is the second episode, the Gauntlet, episode 2 recap, Masquerade. And this episode is going to be done a little differently. As I've said, I don't really wish to record alone. To me, that's not a podcast, that's radio. And radio has never held my interest. How can this be different? I need someone to talk to. I need that bounce back. So I was like, okay, well, I gotta cheat somehow. So instead of scribbling the answer on my hand and wrist, a la Evan, I am going to just look up the YouTube channel that I get to watch this episode on. It's by Phillies3435, and he's got the entire season on there. So instead of sitting here alone, spewing out nonsense, no one else to call me out on my bullshit, or for me to even gauge any kind of like, was that funny? Was that not funny? Was that interesting? Not at all. No, I don't have that whatsoever. I've decided I am going to be the Dave. I am going to be the Matty Nice. As in, there's going to be someone talking and I'm just going to react to it. Because for the most part of the other challenges that we covered, such as Battle of the Exes 2 and The Duel, that's a little promo. Go check that out. Both seasons are great. But anyways, I'm going to look up on the YouTube channel. There are people who leave comments. These are the voices of the people, the real salt of the earth. They are definitely fans because they're tuning in, they're watching, they're leaving their comments, and they really have something to say. And it's going to be cool to read them out to you. And now it's part of the show. You are now part of the show, America. But yeah, here we go. Let's try it out. And we'll see what we get out of this. Let's see what kind of traction we get out of this whole thing. Okay, comments. Scott Allwood says, Montana went into this with the wrong strategy. Being older and an outcast, she definitely should have tried to befriend the younger crowd instead of being a grump about it. She knew that would be the case when coming into the show, so I don't know why she would be surprised about the situation. He's actually referring to the beginning of the episode. It begins with a big party. Mostly, I think it's just the Road Rules people, because, you know, they fucking, you know, they're getting along. They're vibing, as Katie says, because they're all involved. They're all in there. Katie, her friend Adam, and then there's goofy ass David G of Grimm fame, and because he's totally, I don't know, I feel like he's not even playing it cool the way how excited he is about this. He is of course reacting to Rachel and Darrell, Tina and Theo. They're all in this hot tub together, or this bath together, bubble bath together, and you know, I assume they're naked. And David G is just totally geeking out. He's like, oh my god, you guys are all naked. This is the best day of my life. And even you, like, I could see you're naked. And there's Veronica, like, she's taking a shower. She's full on naked. She's full on nude. Full on blurred out, especially. All we have is our imagination and David G narrating what's going on. He's like, and you're naked. You know, it's just like, just play cool, man. Like, Jesus. I guess that's all I took out of that scene. I was like, oh, David, you big geek, you big hoser. But one day you're gonna be cool and be on Grimm, man. You're gonna be on an NBC hit show. So until then, just be cool and don't say anything. Okay, so the party is in full swing, and the juxtaposition is that little Elka and Montana. I don't know why I said little Elka, because the emphasis of the scene is that they're both older women. They are lying there on the hammock outside while the party's raging in the house of the Road Rules. I mean, that this has nothing to do with them because they're actually real world. I just wanted to throw that in there. You know, producers are like, fuck off for trying to create a theme here. So anyways, they're lying there. This is, again, what Scott Allwood was getting at. That they're lying there and Montana's like, you know what? It's just really hard to kind of get in with these kids, you know, to keep up with them. I don't have the energy. I don't have the enthusiasm. And it's really hard to do this because I have a real life job. She's talking to Elka as in, like, this is how we both are. We have real life jobs at home, and we're not making our money by doing these shows a bunch. And that's a little chuckle. Little do they know that eventually people like Johnny Bananas, Paula, CT, they're going to make an actual living. They will not go away. Anissa, they'll be on the show for years and years, for almost a decade long. But this is in 2003, and these women are old even then. They're feeling old. They're like, I just can't do it. Elka is like, you know what? I just don't have the gusto right now to keep up with the kids. And they're both just kind of warning each other, like, yeah, you should kind of check that. And maybe, I don't know, try and, get your pep up or something, do a bump and then just go crazy with the kids, but they don't want to do that. None of them want to. They're just kind of like, oh, we can't do it. I know, right? It's one of those horrible talks that you end up having once you hit a certain age. Not to draw attention to my own age, which is considerably old. I might be Elka's age. I don't think so, though. I hope not. I don't think I'm that old. Or Montana's age, either. Whatever. Let's begin with the mission for the day. It's called Masquerade. I'll be honest with you, I actually didn't really care for it. It was just kind of humdrum. It was, it's a puzzle. And there's so many players on a team right now. It just seemed odd. It seemed a really odd place for it. In fact, it seemed like it should be just part of a final. And it's placed on episode 2. You went from Snake Soup to Masquerade. It's just not the same. You're just kind of feeling a little off about it. That actually brings me to this guy named Snowy Wahlberg. Borg. He left this comment on YouTube. He says, I didn't start watching the challenge until Cutthroat. Late, I know, but I've gone back and seen some earlier ones. And I have to say, the events of this era are more like games from what I've seen. The current era tends to have far more demanding challenges. Not that this is bad or not entertaining, I just noticed a difference in difficulty. And I'm like, fuck, that is late, but I only beat him by fresh meat too, so what do I gotta say about it? But yeah, it sucks, especially for this episode. It is a bad placement for this particular mission, for this particular challenge. It really does belong into a final, but it's here, and this guy's checking out these early ones. He's like, this is nothing. This is weird. These are games. He says that. He says, what did he say? Yeah, they're more like games. I'm like, fuck you, man. I mean, I didn't say that, but I felt a little defensive. I was like, fuck, well, this is a bad episode. Just kind of stay tuned, man. It'll get better. Because next episode is going to be extremely physical and amazing. It sucks that this is the episode's mission. But it is a puzzle. It's like, 12 complete faces, 7 frowns, and 5 smiles. And these masks that are on the wall, they're all split into 4 pieces. So like it's the left eye, right eye, right cheek, right cheek and jaw, left cheek and jaw. And they're placed together, and you gotta mix match them to get like either a happy face or a frowny face. These are the dramatic masks, comedy and tragedy. I mean, I guess that's something to look at, but the mission's about to begin, and it's not really going to be much to comment about. Like, I've gone over this episode in great detail, and after doing all that several times, actually, I lost my first batch of notes. I had to do it again, and I was like, God damn it, there's no way to ignore a motorcycle outside. Fuck you. There's no way to make it interesting. Yeah, I can't argue Snowy Wahlberg's comment about like, this is more like a game. I'm like, yeah, I know, but episode 1, I mean, you call that a game? Can you swim in ice cold water with snakes? Yeah, I didn't think so. I guess, I don't know, what I'm saying is the mission begins now. 2 huge teams, and only 2 people from each team can actually touch the pieces. Everyone else has to stay behind a line like a good 6 feet away from the actual puzzle. But they can all see, so it's not that bad. However, there's only 2 players from each team and they will be physically moving the pieces. Real world, they're huddled together, and Coral says, I don't think the people that are going to be solving the puzzles should be holding the puzzle pieces. So she volunteers to be one of the Vanna Whites, and whoever's in charge of the puzzles, like Matt and Rachel, they're the Pat Sajaks. So Coral goes up there, and it's almost like last minute. It seems like the game's about to start, and she's like, looks around. Tanya, help me out. So Tanya gets out of the crowd, and they're ready to move the puzzle pieces. The Miz, Mike the Miz, is saying, we basically have this figured out at the very beginning, so this should be nothing. Meanwhile, Road Rules, Theo is kind of coaching people that are like, okay, what you want to do is you want to move this up, down, and he's kind of coaching it to whoever's going to listen to be like, this is what you're going to do next, then this, and this is before it starts. Road Rules, they decide like, hey, if you know all this, you should move it. And you're kind of a leader of us so far anyways. And in a way, Abram has been too. He kind of steps up. So he and Theo are going to be moving the puzzle pieces for Road Rules, and for Real World, it's going to be Coral and Tanya. The the mission starts, and you could throw up any kind of badass music you could think of while having this get solved, but it can only make it so interesting. As it's going on, Theo and Abram are actually moving pretty good. They also have Steve on their team behind the line, and he's kind of coaching them too. He's just like, okay, move that, move that. And Steve is saying, I had no friends growing up. All I had were puzzles. And those were my friends. And I would solve them. Kudos. I don't think I've ever once solved my own friends. They are a mystery to me. They do some idiotic, crazy, bizarre shit. And I'm like, I don't know if I know you guys. But yeah, he solved his friends. He solved puzzles. So he's being a real help. Meanwhile, on Real World, it's going pretty bad. Elka is chiming in as well as Irulan about Coral and Tanya, they're barely moving. They're just really going slow about this. They're taking their time. We're getting pissed off. Meanwhile, though, it's Matt and Rachel. Matt is he's just like, hey, he's actually getting told to step off the line. He's actually over the line. And Rachel is being, I don't know, in her confessional, she's like, let's be honest, I could figure this out in 10 minutes or 2 seconds or whatever the fuck she said. And I'm like, well, you should have went up there right away. But, this is coming from Coral's suggestion, and I'm guessing no one questioned her once again. Finally, Rachel thinks to say, hey, can Matt and I just do this? And Coral and Tanya are like, yeah, good. Do it, fine. Great idea. So they switch out. That's awesome. But all for naught. They try their best to start moving and everything. They were supposed to be the smarter puzzle players that should have been in there to begin with. But I assume that Theo and Abram had such a huge lead by that point that Road Rules, they got it done then and there. Rachel and Matt, they didn't have too much time. So that's the end of that mission. Again, not too exciting. A game. Sure, Snowy Snowy Wolberg. The Road Rules, they win $10,000 to their team account, their team bank account. Theo goes up there, he gets the big check. He's like, hey, this is just the beginning. And he starts off the chant, the Road Rules chant, which is like, hey, Road Rules. Hey, Road Rules. Go, Road Rules. Go, Road Rules. That away. Shit, it's a, what was it called? A call and react, or a call and receive, or whatever it's called. Call back and one of those anthems. But yeah, so god damn it, I ruined it, because it's going to be called back later in the episode. So I was like, fuck, I should have got it down. The Road Rules, they're united now. They even got a fucking anthem behind them. It's time for deliberation. But it's interesting because right away, without even leaving to the rooms and stuff, Real World are talking amongst themselves. They're like, well, I think it's Irulan who suggests, well, since the last time we sent a guy, this time we vote a girl, perhaps. So Coral's like, yeah, I agree. Excuse me, fellows. We're going to get all the girls here. We're going to holler. So while they're talking, Coral actually says, last episode in Snake Soup, you did good, you did good, you did good. She's pointing at Rachel, Tanya. But she's like, you know what? In the end, I feel like I didn't do very good because I was it first person out? First girl out. So Coral suggests herself, and then Irulan, I believe she was second, and then Montana, I believe she was third, or technically fourth, but third female out of the pool. So meanwhile, the guys, they're all kind of huddled together, and Nathan's like, so I gotta ask you guys, which girl could we withstand losing? Because what if they lose? And I'm saying it like that because he's kind of just like, hey, what do you think of this? I'm not gonna stand here and be like, I am the leader here, but he's kind of whispering it, especially to Mike. Mike is kind of the unspoken leader right now. What he says carries a lot of weight to it because he was in a season before and he did win. Nathan says that. He's like, who could we withstand losing? And Miz says, I say Montana. And they all kind of like, yep, we agree. Good call. The women show up. Out of the three of us, we decided since we did the worst, it's going to be Coral, Irulan, and Montana. Miz is like, okay, so we're going to vote this, and I feel like we need a fierce competitor in there. We need someone who's going to step up, and Montana, we think you should go. And Montana just kind of slumps. She's like, oh no, are you kidding me? It seemed like Montana was relaxing for those few short seconds because she's like, I heard fierce competitor get thrown out there, and immediately I was like, phew, it's not me. But no, Miss is like, it's you. We think you're the fierce competitor. She's in the confessional. She's tearing up. She's like, you just don't want to be the second person to go into the gauntlet. It's embarrassing, and I can't help but take it personal. All I have to say is there are worse things, like the first person. Have you forgotten about David? So it was only 2 days ago, something like that. All right, so anyway, Montana's back at the house, and they're kind of sitting there with everyone. Real world are all sitting together. And she's like, you know what? I totally agreed. It should have been a woman. And to start blowing smoke up my ass with a fierce competitor or whatever, I know it's not true because Mike is friends with Coral, and Alton is dating Irulan. And in a way, I kind of felt like perhaps she was set up. I kind of wanted her to say that. She was like, you know what? This was a setup from the jump. And that would have raised holy hell within real world, just like how what's going to later happen with road rules. But, she didn't. Montana did not say that. However, I have reason to suspect as much. I mean, I've seen I've seen seasons previous to this and seasons beyond this. It could have been some really slick maneuvering with either Coral or Coral and Irulan, maybe both of them. But yeah, I mean, they've got some backing in the house. Montana does not. Eventually, Mike the Miz, I kind of want to just call him Miz because, I didn't mention this in the previous episode, but he is actually a WWE wrestler. And he, in fact, once headlined a WrestleMania as the WWE champion. That's nuts. So, anyways, I'm going to just call him The Miz from time to time. That's what I mean. So, anyways, The Miz, he apologizes to Montana. He's like, okay, all right, you are clearly mature, and you can see right through my bullshit. So, yes, I was blowing smoke up your ass. I apologize. So anyways, let's cut back to road rules. And they're again having this 3-point system, this 3-person system. 3 is the worst, 2 is like, hey, this is, if they can't go, I want this person to go. And then, third is like just kind of like a scare. So it's starting off and it ends up with the top 3 selected players in road rules is Katie, Sarah, and Ronnie. Sarah and Ronnie were actually the top 3 elected previous episode, and Katie all of a sudden just thrown out there. And not only is she thrown out there, but she actually has the most votes. Ronnie has 17. Sarah, who went in previous episode, has 23. And Sarah, by the way, she's like, I am bewildered. I am beyond shocked that people are still giving me 3s. This is nuts. What do I have to do to get some confidence back or whatever? That actually brings up another quote. It's actually by Amanda Thomas. She says, "Dang, everyone was a puss back then. Why does Sarah think that just because she went into the gauntlet once and hung upside down that people are gonna think she's amazing and want her to stick around? She can't believe that she's got threes? What an idiot." Like, holy fuck. Coming in swinging. Amanda Thomas. I can totally see her point. And I could also see Sarah's point, as in, like, hey, I thought at least I would be off the hook for this week. No? I mean, the main issue with road rules is that at the beginning they were saying this is going to be a point system, 3-point system created by Steve, who was also the puzzle genius earlier, and they would be voting on performance. And since this was a big puzzle, stupid, misplaced mission, they're just like, okay, well, we're just gonna go on performance. And so episode 1 is still in play, the performances from that. Right away, Katie gets 24, 1 vote more than Sarah, and so she's gonna go in, and she's like, you know what, this is bullshit. She's like, I'm just gonna go home now. These people are liars. It's not on performance, it's personal. I'm pissed. If I win, I'm coming back like a bitch. If I lose, go real world. I don't care. I really think Katie's adorable being so pissed that she is. I mean, because she's in the right, and she's reacting as humanly as possible, of course with an attitude, amplified through real world television. But she definitely has a point. It's not out of nowhere. It's justified, I think. Alright, so Katie is now voted into going into the gauntlet, and she's up in arms. She's actually, telling her team afterwards, she's like, if you really cared about us, if you really cared about me as being part of the team, you wouldn't put me in there, because I'm not good at that sort of shit. Her point is, I could do well in the missions, but like when it comes to eliminations, it's not going to work out for me. So you clearly don't have my best interest in mind. You're just looking out for yourselves. This isn't performance based. This is who knows who. So Katie is dealing with exactly what Montana was dealing with earlier. But Katie is not just crying and just saying like, "Oh, you guys, I know what you did." Katie's like, "No, you fucking know. I know. Everyone knows. This is bullshit. The whole road rules team is bullshit. Like, go real world. I hate you guys." She is not holding back. Like, that's just who she is. Again, she's not just bringing this up. She's not just drudging all this stuff up right now. It's for real. But she seeks solace with her friend Adamel. And she's like, you know what? I can tell who writes Katie on those little pieces of paper. I know. I watch every single teammate. And Adamel is trying to be like, whoa, like, shit. A little overboard there, Katie. But just calm down, okay? No one has anything against you. And she's like, bullshit. They have something against Sarah and I and Ronnie. He's not really saying anything reassuring at all. He's like, no. This is Katie's supposed best friend there. And he's not being very supportive at all. He's just kind of be like, I'm trying to say the cliched shit. And actually, who knows? Maybe you're hurting my rep right now, because I feel like I am in with this group, this clique of road rules people within the team. And you're not, Katie. Sure, we're friends, but holy crap, like, you might be hurting my style right now. You might be throwing salt in my game. I'm trying to be real hands off, trying to be like, hey, no, stop, please don't. So Katie's like, this is being extremely personal. This isn't performance based. If it was performance based, like, I was 7th, she says. She's like, I was out of the pool 7th. Before me was Letarian, Steve, and Theo. I outlasted all those guys, and all of a sudden, not only am I into the mix, the top 3, but now I'm actually going in this episode. That's such a huge jump. That is such a cold water thrown on you, just like a shock. She's like, you know what? I'd rather go home. I don't want to get embarrassed again. I don't want them coming to me, especially like while it's happening, like, hey, good luck, go in there, slugger, being super fake, because like, I don't like that. I'm not down with that bullshit. And so she gets up, and it looks like she's just gonna storm off and pack. Who knows, And Annabelle calls up for Katie. He's like, Katie. And she kind of stops and she's standing there waiting for what he has to say. And he says nothing. Really, I think like Adam finds himself on a tightrope situation. He's like, God damn it, this girl is gonna ruin me. I have to sound like I'm supporting her, where like if the rest of the team confronted him, he's like, hey, did you hear what I said? It was all very cliche. It was very fake sounding. Are you kidding me? I said, no, Katie, that's not right. I was just denying. I was doing you guys a favor as well. I'm doing excellent PR for Road Rules right now, so get off my back. Okay, so now we're at the actual elimination. We're at the Gauntlet. Both teams are there. Johnny Mosley comes up. He says, we're going to have the two elected, the one from Real World versus the one from Road Rules. We're going to throw a random dice, and we're going to get that Gauntlet. And the winner will stay and have his shot at the money at the end. And the loser packs their bags and goes home immediately. And he kind of does this little chuckle, this little smirky, just like completely insensitive. Katie's like, yeah, you're a nice guy. Jackass. Everyone else is kind of laughing too. This is just kind of poking and prodding at Katie right now. She's just like, she's so annoyed as it is because she gets called up there. That just as she predicted, they all stand up. Just as she was like, oh God, they better not do this. They stand up, they start cheering for her, and she's like, yeah, a chuckle, polite. She's being polite right now. She's like, I'm trying my best to be mature, and I am not a mature person, so naturally. So they roll the dice, and it's Ride 'em Cowboy. Both people will be riding this mechanical bull. Whoever falls off loses. The person lasting the longest in the bull wins. And right away, Montana's like, I have actually won a mechanical bull riding contest. There's no way I can lose this. This is my event. Meanwhile, Mike the Miz, says, Montana is going to kick Katie's ass just because I know Katie. And she's pissed off at her team right now. Katie would just lose to get back at her team because Katie is a little fireball. And that's just, he's dissing his teammate once again, as in like, it's not really a compliment at all, but it's definitely fake. It's not real. It's like you're not complimenting her at all by saying Montana is going to win because Katie is going to give up. It was like, oh, Miz, you silly bastard. All right, so now Katie, Montana, they mount the mechanical bulls, and Road Rules start in the chant modified for Katie. They say, hey Katie, go Katie, go Katie, that away, that away, that away, that away. It's really funny because Katie is just steaming. She might have the steam come out of her ears or the nose, like the bowl itself. The symbolism here. Katie's like, Road Rules is just so goddamn fake. But I'm trying my best to stay mature. Yeah, okay. So I said that, she's like, I'm trying to be mature, but it's very hard for me. I am not a mature person. But I was like, I don't know if Adam's a friend or not, but right now he is in Katie's corner. He's saying, listen, if the mechanical bull leans forward, you lean back. If it leans back, you lean forward. If it's just spinning, duck. He's completely helping her out right now. I'm like, okay, all right, here we go. I think Adam might be a good friend overall at this pinnacle moment. Now, to pile it all on, Road Rules begin again. Here we go, Katie. Here we go. Clap, clap. It's getting worse and worse. Katie's so pissed at this point. So it begins. I never knew this, but if anyone's ever been to a mechanical bull, like I never have, but I've seen plenty of people ride one, and I found out that it's actually controlled by a human being. This mechanical bull thing is nonsense. It's actual person. You're on a big RC bull. It's remote controlled. So if you do bad, it's because if you get a wild bull on your hands, that actually means the bartender hates you and is being a dick. He's like, let's make fun of this person, this drunk asshole. So I don't know who's controlling the bulls at all, but what's good to know is that both bulls are synced up. So if one goes back, the other one goes back. They're completely moving with each other in sync, FX2 style. You know, when the guy puts on the suit, the clown mimics his every movement. Amazing. But Montana, this person who won a contest before, she actually keeps ending up grabbing on to the rope. Part of the rules and part of the, yeah, I mean, it's part of bull riding. You do it one-handed. That's kind of the thing that makes it bull riding. Either way, Montana, she's grabbing with both hands. I think she does it a couple times. Abram is all over that shit on Road Rules team. He's just like, holy fuck, look at Montana. She's a cheating piece of shit. And she belongs on Real World, and now she belongs out of this thing because she's a cheater. And Johnny Mosley sees this. He blows the horn. Montana's DQ'd because she was using two hands. Katie wins, much to her surprise, much to everyone else's surprise. Katie gets to return to the team that she just despises right now. Montana, she's gone. It sucks for her. She hugs her friend Elka while she's packing, and she's like, hey, it was nice, right? You know, nice little 4-day vacay, but time to go. Montana, she's not done. She's going to come back. I believe she comes back at least once or twice. But really, it was just kind of age and, you know, not being able to kind of assimilate with the young folk. You know, and maybe she was really set up for a fall. Maybe this was such a meticulous operation by Coral, or maybe Coral and Miz, where they're like, hey, this person is kind of older. We can't throw in Elka. She won last episode. Montana, however, she's next. She's on deck. So Montana takes off. She's gone. Okay, and then the Miz, he's like, well, it sucks. We've lost 2 Real Worlders in a row now. What do we got to do? Do we have to re-strategize? And how would we? Do we start sending in our better players? Like, how do we decide this? So the Miz is stumped. He's scratching his head. He doesn't know what to do. So we cut to Road Rules. And Tina is talking to her teammate Katie. And she's like, you know what? You were getting mad and you were saying this and that and about, you know, us, you know, your team. And I have to admit, like, that's going to affect the way I vote next time. And to Katie, she's like, well, then that means you're just like the rest of the team, because they say that this is performance-based, but it's personal. And you're going to basically vote again for me because it was a personal thing. It's not performance-based at all. Tina is trying to say, you politically aren't doing very well with us. I do like the fact that Tina is sitting down with Katie right now on just a human-to-human level, a person-to-person level. However, Katie's like, you know what? It doesn't matter. You know, you're all cheering and you're just kissing each other's ass. So next time, you're not the one. And I'm not down with that at all. So we cut to Sarah, and she's with her Road Rule team, and she's saying, you know what? I gotta say something. Whatever your strategy is, you guys, it is not working. Because let me tell you something. Katie did not feel support out there today. People came off superficial. And, you know, they came off superficial to me when I was in there. I just don't think that I'm going to do well. I need to feel like we're going to go in there and kick some ass. And it just doesn't feel like that. By this time, Katie comes in and sits by Adam, and Adam's like filling her in, like, hey, she's sticking up for you. But by this time, this is when the team starts to turn on Sarah now. Veronica especially, I suppose. And Tina, we'll get into that right now. Holy shit, check this shit out. Because Sarah says, it needs to feel like we're going to kick some ass. It doesn't feel like that. And Veronica's like, you know what? It's always going to feel personal. Just like, I don't give a shit. She's like, you know what? It's always going to feel personal. And Tina, her little lapdog, her little underling, she's like, there's no way around it. And you could tell that she's just being so kind of subordinate to Veronica, because she's always like, she chimes in to help support her little friend. And she's always kind of looking to Veronica for the cues on when to say something and when to speak up against Sarah. I don't know. I really like Tina for going one-on-one with Katie, but now it's almost ruined right now because she's just being very mean girlish, I suppose. And then Veronica says, so what's the difference? Tell me, Sarah. Tell me. And Tina's just like, yeah. And Sarah's like, the problem is it feels like no one's holding you. It's all words. And... So, check this shit out. Tina's actually, she wants to say something. She's about to like speak up again to like just argue whatever. As soon as Sarah's done speaking, that's when Veronica would have jumped in and said like, yeah, well, I'm sorry. Another bitch comment reaction. And Tina's about to do it, but no, she doesn't speak up because she goes for the motion to speak up, but then looks and sees that Veronica has not done anything. She hasn't opened her mouth yet. So Tina does not. Just, check it out. Continuing with Sarah, she's just like, it's false comfort. And Veronica's like, you know what? Well, I'm sorry. Because our team, we made the best of the situation. Veronica's talking to the confessional. We're going to keep sending in our weakest players, I believe. Their attitudes certainly aren't helping Katie and Sarah, and we don't really feel attached to them at all. I feel like Veronica might be speaking for that clique of road rulers who are kind of buddy-buddy with each other, who party with each other, who get naked with each other, and just Katie's not part of that group. Sarah isn't part of that group. And neither would Montana or Elka, for that matter, had they been on the same team. So I feel like, the truth has been revealed, but, through confessional. So now Katie chimes in. She's like, you know what, Sarah? I'm totally there with you, dude. They don't know. We were both sent in, and Veronica cuts her off. What are you talking about? I've gone home 3 times. Veronica is actually referring to the other seasons that she was on. Battle of the Seasons, Battle of the Sexes, and yeah, she was voted off. And perhaps she was voted off in her first Road Rules season. I think that's what they did. I really don't remember too much. So yeah, Veronica's like, you know what? What are you talking about? I went home 3 times. And Katie's like, yeah, but that's not the same thing. You're trying to say that we're getting voted off by performance, and you're lying. And Veronica's like, I've been there before. And that's what triggers Katie. She's like, then why the hell do you play the game dirty if you were there before? And I know it was you that voted me in, by the way. I could tell. And Veronica's like, oh yeah, really? And Katie's like, yeah, really. And it gets so heated up so quickly. Like Katie just amps up so quickly that Ronnie, Adam, I believe, they have to take Katie, escort her out of that room. Meanwhile, production has the chant from earlier, but slowed down. The "Here we go, Katie, here we go," and it's eerie and it's perfectly fitting of the episode. I actually really like this episode. I mean, sure, the mission was boring, but holy crap, the way it was told thematically, Katie and Montana on the outs with their own team and shit, it was really revealing of how this system works. This real world road rules caste system, if you will. There is definitely a hierarchy, and Katie and Sarah are on the bottom of it. I really believe that was voiced by Veronica this episode. Let's get a few more comments in here. I once referred to how Coral might have set up Montana in a way, just knowing that she has backing. She has the Miz. In Irulan, she has Alton. What does Montana have besides aged wisdom? And now we have a comment here by FIFA Ames. Coral is so fucking lame. She's no good at any physical challenges, so she tries to get in on the mental ones, being the politics of the votes. But she's dumb as a chip brick. She fails every single challenge, yet she's got the biggest mouth of any of them and constantly talks up her value to the team. The funniest thing is that her teammates are equally dumb, and they never realize that she's all talk and has nothing to contribute. They actually just accept her statements at face value. And I thought that was great. But going through this channel here with the comments, there's a lot of talk about the Katie and Veronica. There's Veronica is obnoxious in about 20 different ways by Viral Tuber. Tatiana Albuquerque says, started to see the season and already hated Sarah. Blah, 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 blah. Holy shit. So there are some Sarah haters out there. And there are some Veronica haters. And it seems like for the most part, people are really siding with Katie. Mad Hatter, for example, says, Katie is such a kick-ass girl. Being picked on has made her stronger over the years. Remember when I mentioned at the very first episode where I'm like, Katie, linked with Veronica. Like, that's all I kind of know her as. Not only, but that is a huge part. That's like a rivalry. That's like Kenny and Wes. You just think of that rivalry right away. So it's definitely Katie and Veronica. But yeah, there's a lot of people taking sides on this thing, and here we have the island light says Veronica sucks ass or sucks. Oh yeah, sucks. There's three S's. I read it as sucks ass. Sorry. Here's 5222 Nibbles. I like Katie, and I think she's not in the wrong. But yeah, for the most part, people sided with Katie through this whole thing. Me personally, I suppose I side with Katie as well. I mean, Veronica, it's not like she was wrong, but just her approach was wrong. Just rubbed her own team the wrong way. I mean, Sarah said it herself. Like, we have some real troublemakers on this team. And I think it's going to bite us in the ass because they won, but yet it ends with them at each other's throats and Katie getting escorted and maced, I assume. Like, it's just crazy. And that is it. That is the episode. I am Vincent Cloud. Make sure to like it. You can comment if you want. I might not comment immediately because I'm really bad at that. Subscribe because this is a weekly podcast. And share. Get it out there. Put it out there on websites that like this sort of stuff, who want a good challenge podcast. Say, hey man, this guy does it. Him and his friends, they do it. They got what you want. But yeah. Thanks for listening.